Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Friday's glorious study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're just transcendentally cruising through this beautiful journey of the Bhagavatam. You know what's great, Kaustubha? The Bhagavatam has been read and heard forever. Not just like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, millennia ago. Even the whole story is hearing and questioning and hearing and questioning. And this is like the continuation into the future of the Bhagavatam. Everybody's questions on Q&A day is part of the ongoing Bhagavatam, just like rolling into the future. It's quite amazing, isn't it? We're part of it. We're part of this living book.
It feels great, Raghunath.
Srimad Bhagavatam, it feels great. Tastes delicious. The ambrosial nectar of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're trying to think of new like subtitles.
We are?
I am.
Okay.
We meaning I. Bhagavatam every day. I like that one too.
All right.
It's like superfood for the soul. Bhagavatam, superfood for the soul.
Yeah.
Good one.
I'll let you know when one really hits me.
Superfood for the soul is pretty good. All good here and with you?
Things are good.
All right. I went to the doctor yesterday.
Oh.
Got some issues getting
I didn't
checked
know
out. Got some issues getting checked out.
Something you
But
want
you know what I
care to
realized
talk
about that doctor's office? No one is in shape. It's like, this is our healthcare. No one is in shape. The guy's looking at me, goes, "You're overweight." I feel like saying, "I'm overweight." You're overweight. If I'm overweight, what are you? You're dead. If I'm overweight. I was like, how dare you tell me I'm overweight?
If he gave you some good advice, you should accept it.
I did. I have them radically changing everything now. Everything.
Okay.
Well, everything's getting plugged in differently now. But
right.
God, you guys are supposed to take care of our health. Come on.
What did he do wrong? Why are you upset with him?
I'm just saying they're not the picture of health. And for them to tell me.
Oh, you're saying, "Doctor, heal thyself."
I'm saying doctors, nurses, receptionists, heal thyself.
Okay.
I mean, I appreciate them. Don't get me wrong. They're very nice. But come on. Okay.
I still haven't understood what he did that was wrong.
He just told me I'm a little overweight.
Okay.
I guess that's nothing wrong. I guess that's right.
All right.
He just cares for me.
That's right.
You would want to, yeah. Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
All right, but he did.
Announcements?
Announcements, Mara. Because I'll just tease this out forever.
I know. I can see it's an emotional thing.
We have a Bhakti recovery group meeting today at 1 p.m. And Jamuna Jaya has her Fun Day Friday today for Patreon members at 5:30 p.m.
Does she do that every Friday?
No, it's once a month she does it.
Okay, so it's the Fun Day Friday today.
Yeah, and then tomorrow's Q&A day, so people can email us for any questions they have. wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
All right.
Well, all right. exciting. Fun day Friday.
Sleep in Saturday.
It's got to rhyme, or it's got to be a play on the first consonant.
Did Harley lined up for Sunday?
Oh yeah. We think we have Harley Flanagan for this Sunday, people.
Well, you got to nail that down.
He's a hard man to nail down.
Okay.
Harley Flanagan.
He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. It's like you can't pin the guy.
Cannot pin the guy. Anyway, if we get him, you're going to meet my Vartma Pradarshana Guru, the first person that explained Bhakti to me. We're trying to get this guy on the show this Sunday. Very interesting fella. In me and Kaustubha, basically, it had a lot to do with me and Kaustubha coming to Bhakti.
Oh, no question.
That's safe to say, Kaustubha?
Absolutely.
And Bhakti Louie, I'm sure, also.
Mhm.
Bhakti Louie, one of our regular Zoomers.
Well, but Bhakti Louie may have something to do with Harley getting into it, you know?
Yeah, you think
Bhakti,
Bhakti
I
Louie
think
was
Louie goes
first?
back further. If
Where's
maybe
Louie?
we
Is
can
he
get a
on the
nod
Zoom
from over
today?
there.
Where's Louie?
He was here.
There he is, Louie.
Yeah.
Let's
there he
hear
is.
it from Louie.
You want to open him up?
Louie, open you up. I'm asking you. Unmute here. Unmute, Louie. Let's
been
get
a long
to the
time since
bottom
we
of
had
this.
Louie on
Good
the
morning,
show.
Bhakti Louie. We haven't seen you in a while. How are you?
First and foremost, please accept my most humble obeisance.
There we go. You see?
There we go.
All right?
Always resorts back
You
to
guys are the acharyas.
No.
the
These were the
acharyas
simple
of-
followers.
You guys are sharpening my dull sword.
Oh.
You're kind, Bhakti Louie. Louie, you're the seed. You're the one that brought us here. Now, when did Harley get into Bhakti? Was it before you or after you?
To be honest with you, brother, I think we were all on the same path at about the same time because it was one individual that we all know. We were fortunate to come across a great devotee. I think he might be still in the movement. His name is Tomas.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Tamrapani.
Tamrapani.
I believe he still lives down in the Lachoa area.
I think he's like in the Gurukula system somewhere.
A long time ago he was. And then he was
All
working for BTG and but
So Tamrapani was a punk guy.
yeah,
Yes,
you don't
he
know
was.
Tamrapani?
He was the
Yeah,
first one. He was the first one to hand me one of those little books that I was like, "What is this strange cover? What is this blue thing? What is this?"
And how did he get into it?
To be honest with you, brother, he was so young. I thought maybe he was like maybe his parents, like he was a descendant of, like, you know what I mean? But I have no idea how we got into it.
Mm.
All right.
We
Well,
got to follow that thread.
You got to follow the Chaitanya tree. It's very
But
interesting.
to
Huh?
me, remember, to me, it's all about what was resonating under our feet without us even being aware
There
with
you
that
go.
tree in that park.
The tree
Tompkins
in
Square
Tompkins
Park.
Square Park, where Prabhupada went and chanted kirtan in the 60s.
Unbeknownst to all of us, right? That was resonating under our feet.
We had no clue.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
We
no
were
clue.
living in a pilgrimage place, a holy place, yeah.
That was the punk hangout, this Tompkins Square Park, but it happened to be, 20 years before, 15 years before.
Brothers, that was you said it. That was our punk pilgrimage. You said it. You said it. You said it. You hit it right on the head. That was
didn't even-
our punk pilgrimage.
Well, they say that if sometimes people go to holy places without even knowing they're holy places, and they get purified from those holy places. Maybe that's what happened to us, Kaustubha.
That's what Louis is saying, somehow or
I
other.
think so, in this strange way. You know how you go to Nepal and you go into these places where they have these secret stones in the river and stuff like that. It's kind of similar to what's going on in that park.
There
Yeah.
you go.
If you were to go to Nepal and just not even as a tourist or and just pick up one of those Shaligram Shilas, you get some benefit that you don't even know you're getting.
I still
Right.
drop in there all the time, I just go in there, I circumambulate the tree. It's nice.
Paul Bear says, "Is there a
I'm
plaque?"
gonna share, can I share this strange experience last time I was in there?
Yes, you
As long as
can.
it's not too strange.
No, I wasn't. Well, it could be very strange in that park, yes.
All right.
Could be. But I walk, I'm always very humble. I always come to the tree. I always sit on the bench. that are behind the tree.
Yeah.
But I go and I offer my obeisances to the tree. And when I got up, strangely enough, I could see Prabhupada's face like in the tree. It was very strange.
Ah, okay.
I don't think that's too strange. I think that's right on par with
Krishna miracle.
Krishna miracles.
Yeah.
Right. There you have it, brother. The little nuggets, right?
Dr. Louis, we love you, man.
We love you too, brother. All glory to Prabhupada.
There you go.
All glory to
Continue
Prabhupada.
what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for all your support. And I have one more Krishna miracle, which is, we were in Govardhan, me and Mara and Vicky and Rachel and Bunky and who else was with us? Rich and Eva. Well, especially Eva, because we had, you know how in India they have all those like sacred tiles everywhere, like they'll build a water fountain and put like Lord Shiva on the water fountain.
Yeah.
Just like the same type of
Ganesh.
tiles you'd tile your kitchen or bathroom with or something like that, but they have holy tiles. So sometimes you see them in temples and stuff like that. So I was like, man, we're doing a backsplash in the yogi house. We need a Krishna tile. And Eva, the Polish princess, goes, I'll get one. So she goes out to a tile shop in Govardhan and check out what we got.
Beautiful.
How giant is this? Cool. If you're not on Zoom, you can't see this, but I have a Krishna lifting Govardhan Hill giant tile, which will go right above the stove. How cool is that? I've always wanted to get one of those tiles.
You got
and now we got a tile, and we have to tile, Actually, like 20 years ago, I did buy some tiles, but I was like, I have nothing to tile, and I didn't do anything with those tiles. Now I can tile something. I'm quite excited about it.
Raghunath, we're going so many different directions. We're 18 minutes in here.
Okay.
That's a beautiful tile.
It's a beautiful tile. The Krishna miracle was that it was lost on Amtrak after all the traveling through Kathmandu and Dubai. We carried it back. Me and Mara took the train upstate, and we left it on the train.
Ah, but it came back.
But Amtrak sent it back to Mara.
That's great.
All righty. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Midatam Nyena Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Mara.
Canto 4, Chapter 11, Text 22.
Alrighty. Who's speaking now?
Manu is still speaking to Dhruva.
Okay.
And what he's been doing is, we discussed this yesterday, we'll get more into it today. But he's saying, you're seeing things from one level and now your anger is overtaking everything. I need you to zoom out. You're looking at things on the let's say the relative level. Relatively, we can say that these yakshas were his enemies, right? But on the absolute platform, they're not. Relatively, we could say that the yakshas were the cause of the death of his brothers. But on the absolute platform, ultimately God is behind everything. And so, although there's truth in both visions, Manu's saying, let's view things from that absolute platform. I think that's going to be the healthier platform for you right now. That's going to be the more important platform, from which you to view this right now. And so he's speaking different verses to kind of bring him to that vision.
All right, text 22. The differentiation amongst varieties of life and their suffering and enjoyment is explained by some to be the result of karma. Others say it's due to nature, others due to time, others due to fate. I guess fate would sort of be karma. And still others say that it is due to desire. Right? They're just trying to analyze why things happen?
What's the cause?
What's the cause? What's the cause behind what's happening in your face right now?
Do you know the Sanskrit word for cause, Raghunath?
Karna.
There you go. Yes.
Boom!
Word
Yeah.
nerd. Yes. Nice. Yeah. So determining what's the karna, what's the cause, or who is the agent of any particular circumstance, becomes important. Now, what's the famous verse that uses that word karna?
Sarva karna karnam.
Sarvaka, which means?
Krishna is the cause of all causes.
Yeah. So there's the
He's the
relative
cause behind everything.
Yeah, that's right. And so again, what happened? What's going on in the Bhagavatam right now is that Dhruva's brother was killed by the yakshas, and he's saying they're the karna, right? They're the cause. And then based on that relative viewpoint, he went and he righted the wrong. He fought against them. He, as a law keeper, he was like kind of enforcing the law, but his anger became too much, and he went too far. And then and now Manu's coming, and he's trying to say, no, they may be on one level of karna, but there's the sarva karna, right? There's the cause of all causes that are behind it. Now, bring your focus to that original cause. Now, that's where you need to bring your mind. But with each of these different things that's being said here, Raghunath,
Yeah.
there was karma. Some say it's karma. Some say that it's
Time, fate.
Yeah. So for each of these is a different school of philosophy.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. So like the Mamamsikas, they say karma is everything, right?
The mamamsikas.
Yeah, karma Mamamsikas.
You know what I find interesting and relevant is, once you accept this, it takes you right out of the blaming mentality, which is why there's a lot of suffering
say
going
exactly.
on.
Accept what exactly?
Once we accept that, there is a cause behind everything going on in your life.
Okay.
And the cause is a divine cause. Now, it might not appear as divine. What's happening to you right now may not appear as divine. What you're going through, the cross you have to bear right now may not appear divine, but you should deeply understand there is a sarva karana karanam, a cause of all causes, and that is a divine being. And it's there for your upliftment. And if I don't get that, I will get nothing but bitter. And if I do get that, that's when I grow. Then I get better. That's when I evolve.
That's exactly where Manu and the sages are going to try to bring Dhruva right now. So that's perfect, Raghunath. So in any case, it said that those that say that karma is the cause, that's the Mamamsikas. They believe in karma so much, right? Like they think that it's so essential. It's such a key aspect, or it's like the key aspect in what's happening, that they say that like the devas their duty is to give you the results of your actions, right? And they just have to deliver it. They're forced to deliver it, and that there's no cause beyond that. And then there's a Charvaka Muni. Charvaka Muni?
Charvaka Muni, yeah.
What was his famous saying?
Oh, Charvaka Muni's famous saying?
Yeah. Wasn't he the one that said beg, borrow, steal?
No, that was Chanaka.
No. Whatever you do, get ghee. That's Charvaka Muni.
Google it. It's Chanaka.
It's not Raghunath. It's Charvaka.
Beg, borrow, or steal, but get ghee.
Yeah, so that's the philosophy of the lokayatas.
That's what he's famous for. Is one thing he's famous for is beg.
In other
borrow,
words, you
steal,
can boil down his philosophy to that. In other words, it was more like like find enjoyment in the things in this world. And then there's a group called
You're right. I concede this time. You conceded to me earlier. I concede.
But you see, I never contradicted you, Raghunath. I just said, "Are you sure about that other thing?" You see, I never said you were wrong, but I was just asking if you knew if you were right.
Well, you did say speculation.
It was a speculation, and then we confirmed that it was a speculation that was right.
Now, who's going to fact check the fact checkers? That's what I want to know.
Okay, let's not worry about that, Raghunath. Let's keep going. So there's a group called the Vyavaharikas that they say time is the cause of everything. And then for Daivam, for fate, that's the astrologers.
Oh, interesting.
All right. They say it's all written in the stars. It's all meant to happen. It's like there's no way around it. And then there's the Vatsyayanas. They say that desire is the cause of everything. So what they're saying is that ultimately there's more behind that all, right? There's something beyond it. But Prabhupada talks a little bit about that in the purport. There are different types of philosophers, the Mumsikas, atheists, astronomers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Another thing about the blaming is when you sort of get what you're saying or the Bhagavatam's teaching right now is it releases you from hate, because you can't hate someone or some situation if you know there's higher causes behind it.
Sure.
And the sadness is, which is really prevalent, is blaming and hate. And this is like what really disturbs the mind. Blame, hate, blame, hate. Why is this happening? This is unfair. How can this happen to me? I don't deserve this. Those mantras that run through the mind that haunt us.
Yeah. Well, what do you call it? Radical responsibility, right?
And that's what bhakti is. It is radical responsibility. You take full ownership of what you got is what you got. And now what am I going to do with that? Okay. What I got is what I got. What am I going to do with it now?
Right.
I'm not going to blame anyone. I can blame my past. Can't blame my way to a better future. Can't do that. Right.
Well, but if God's ultimately responsible, then can't we blame God?
No, because we are God just spinning the wheel, and we are the potters making that wheel. Right. It's our choices. Okay. And you may say, well, I never made this choice to get this. I never made a choice to get what I'm getting now. You don't know. You don't know what choices we made. Okay. There's a mystery. And here's another thing. Yeah. Sometimes we get stuff that maybe we don't deserve, but in the bigger picture of things, it's something that we need to get us to a next place. Now, sometimes I may not accept that. Sometimes I might just be like, this is totally unfair. I'm never going to get over this. But we are given things so we can grow, so we can evolve. That's the whole game here. We're here to get rectified. It's just like we're here to get our rough spots sanded down. We're here. This is the school of, we're getting educated in how to behave in the spiritual world. We can't come in there with entitlement and bad attitudes.
You sound like baby number one.
I'm baby
what's
number
going
one,
on
man.
within the womb is you're being prepared for what goes on outside the womb.
Nugget 700, man. I'm baby number one. Don't be like baby number two.
Right.
Anyway, that was yesterday's nugget. If you missed that.
Yeah. Okay. Let's keep reading. I think text.
We Bhakti-yogi'd right through our nugget today.
I know. I just let it go, Raghunath, because
it's okay. You know what? Bhakti-yogi's a nugget in himself. He's a special nugget, transcendental nugget. All right.
But text 29, I think, is going to go real deeper into this topic that you've brought up today. So
text 29. Here we go.
Well, we're not there yet.
Oh, we're not there. What do you say? Text 23.
Text 23.
The absolute truth, transcendence, is never subject to the understanding of imperfect sensory endeavor. Mm-hmm. What? I'm going to read that again. The absolute truth, transcendence, is never subject to the understanding of imperfect sensory endeavor, nor is he subject to direct experience. He is the master of varieties of energies, like the full material energy, and no one can understand his plans or actions. Therefore, it should be concluded that although he is the original cause of all causes, no one can know him by mental speculation.
Okay. So in other words, if you're just trying to figure things out on your own, you may come to the idea that karma is everything, or that time is everything. That ultimately fate is the cause behind everything. You won't be able to perceive him simply through mental speculation. You won't come to the correct conclusion simply through mental speculation, because it's transcendent. It's beyond what we're taking in through our senses. It's beyond our ability to speculate.
All right. Text 24. 4. My dear son, those yakshas who are descendants of Kubera. Oh, that's right. Kubera is sort of like the head of the yakshas.
Yeah, we're going to
like
hear
in the 10th chapter of the Gita. Right? 10th chapter of the Gita, out of Rakshas and Yakshas, I am the demigod Kubera. Mm-hmm. But he's good. Go figure this.
Well, that's part of the whole thing that's going on here is that, Manu is saying, hey, you know what? Like what you're doing right now, you really need to go apologize to Kuvera.
Mara, this is a takeaway. Not all yakshas are bad. My dear son, those yakshas who are descendants of Kubera are not actually the killers of your brother. The birth and death of every living entity are caused by the Supreme, who is certainly the cause of all causes. There we go. The Supreme Personality of Godhead creates this material world, maintains it, and annihilates it in due course of time. But because he is transcendental to such activities, he is never affected by ego in such action or by the modes of material nature.
Okay. That's important, right? So now, in one sense, it's being said that ultimately God is responsible. God is the cause of all causes. So if you've got a problem with anything, you've got a problem with God, right?
Yeah.
And so then one could get into this kind of thing where it's like, well, then this is all God's fault. I'm blaming God. But he's saying, but no. You see, God's not like us. He's not prone to, to acting out of ego. What does it say here? He's transcendental to such activities. Which verse was that? 24?
Is never affected by ego in such action or by the modes of material nature.
That's right. He's not affected by the modes of material nature. He's not affected by ego. So he doesn't become illusioned. He doesn't have those kind of personal frailties that we have, or those weaknesses that we have. So it's saying that ultimately, you see what's going to happen here is it's saying God's behind everything, but God's not responsible for everything in the sense that anything that happens to us, we can understand that it has a stamp of approval from God on it, right? But we can't hold him responsible for it because it's in response to something that we've done, right? So here it's saying that the first point that's being made is that although he's behind it ultimately, he doesn't have the issues that we have. So don't blame him. If he approved of it, it's okay because he doesn't act out of ego. He's not controlled by the modes of material nature. Okay. Text 26.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the super soul of all living entities. He's the controller and the maintainer of everyone. Through the agency of his external energy, he creates, maintains, and annihilates everyone.
Okay. So your brother, was born, your brother was maintained for some time, and ultimately your brother was killed. And it had the stamp of approval. And it was carried out through the energy of the Paramatma.
Hey, Kaustubha, answer me this. Is Dhruva big now?
Yeah, he's an
time went
adult.
Yeah, he's not like a 5-year-old going out.
He's a king. No, he's been enthroned and everything like that.
All right.
Yeah.
I missed something. I missed that memo.
Many years have passed.
Okay. My dear boy Dhruva. Well, now he's calling him a boy.
No, he didn't say boy. He just said my dear Dhruva. Oh, up there, text 27. He does say my dear boy. Well, Manu is a lot older than him still.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. My dear boy Dhruva, even though you're in your 20s, please surrender to the personality of Godhead, who is the ultimate goal of the progress of the world. Everyone, including the demigod headed by Lord Brahma, is working under his control, just as a bull prompted by a rope in its nose is controlled by its owner.
Okay. So even these yakshas, when the yakshas killed your brother, it was carried out under the direction of the Supreme Lord. And in one sense, they're just moving like a bull, with their nose being pulled. On one level, that's truth, right?
It's a big part of like healing pain in the mind. Also, this idea of acceptance sets you free from all that stuff we were talking about earlier, the blame, the anger, the resentment, my dear Dhruva, at the age of only 5, you were grievously afflicted by the words of your mother's co-wife, and you very boldly gave up the protection of your mother and went to the forest to engage in the yogic process for realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As a result of this, you have already achieved the topmost position in the 3 worlds. Therefore, my dear Dhruva,
this is the big verse right here, text 29.
Ready? Here we go. Therefore, my dear Dhruva, please turn your attention to the Supreme Person, who is the infallible Brahman. Face the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your original position, and thus, by self-realization, you will find this material differentiation to be merely flickering. Isn't this world flickering, Kaustubha?
Well, it is. Yes.
It seems so damn solid. But what is it? It's a box of photographs. That's what we said last week. It's a big box of photographs. Scrolling through those. Oh, look, we went on vacation here. Oh, here was Christmas. Here was Easter when I was a child, and my mother bought me this, Easter bunny, little stuffed animal. And it's just a big box of photos, and it's just sort of like, and that's it. It's just a list of names, as Prabhupada called it.
Well, this, this here is right here in this verse. It gets right to the point. Is that there are two different ways you can see things, and there's truth in both of them. On one level, it's true. The yakshas killed your brother. On another level, ultimately, everything's happening by the will of God. And that's where I want you to bring your attention now. So he says, please turn your attention, right? Please, you're seeing things one way, turn it this way. If you turn your attention to that, basically there are two levels of reality that we're talking about. There's the relative reality, right? Relative to time, relative to circumstance, and so on. Relatively, the yakshas killed Dhruva's brother. Relatively, they're his enemies, but absolutely, they're not his enemies at all, right?
Right.
On the absolute level, they're spirit just like him. They're all connected to God, but just in a flickering sense, in a moment of time, they acted as his enemy. They're saying now, if you turn your attention to that source of everything, that cause of all causes, it's going to relieve you, of all of the sufferings that you have due to the relative nature of this world, right? Face the Supreme Personality of God in your original position, not in your temporary relative position. You're thinking to yourself, I am the king, right? I am responsible for maintaining law and order. That's your relative role. Now I'm asking you to face the Supreme Personality of Godhead from your original position. And thus, by self-realization, you will find this material differentiation to be merely flickering. Oh, you know what? It comes and it goes quick. It doesn't, if the lights go out for a second, it doesn't bother us. If they never come back on, that's a problem. But if it's just like a flicker, that's okay. And so when one's deeply rooted in understanding, even though they're dealing with all the responsibilities in life, that underneath it all, I'm God's servant. God is behind everything. Anything that's coming my way is by God's will. I'm God's servant. And that's something that's eternal and unshakable. Then no matter what happens on that material level, it's so much more tolerable, and it doesn't, we're not rocked by it. You'd like to read the commentary?
It's flickering, my friend. Yeah. 29's, right?
29, yes.
Yes. Okay. The living entities have three kinds of vision according to their positions in self-realization. According
I think
to bodily
that's what we were talking about the other day, right? There's the Madhyam, the Uttam, and the Kanishta. Remember?
Yeah, the Kanishta, the person who sees the deity in the temple, acts very religious, but they really don't have enough respect for everyone else. They don't see God in the heart of everyone else. Madhya means something in the middle. And Uttama, they're seeing God in every living being at all times.
And so so what's going on here is right now he views the yakshas, as his enemy. And now he's being called upon, even though they killed your brother. I want you to see them from that highest of all platforms.
It's tough. According to the bodily concept of life, one sees differentiation in terms of varieties of bodies. It's true. The living entity actually passes through many varieties of material forms. But despite all such changes of body, he is eternal. When living entities, therefore, are viewed in the bodily concept of life, one appears to be different from another. Lord Manu wanted to change the vision of Dhruva Maharaj, who is looking upon the yakshas as different from him or his enemies.
Or as his enemies.
Sorry. Factually, no one is an enemy or a friend. Everyone is passing through different types of bodies under the law of karma. But as soon as one is situated in the spiritual identity, he does not see differentiation in terms of this law. Do we have to solve all the problems of the world, Kaustubha? Does the Bhagavatam have to solve all the problems of the world for everybody? Yes, it does.
Apparently.
You ever look like, why don't the great intellectuals of this world just read this damn book? That's how I feel sometimes. This is it. You got a problem? Here it is. Here's the answer right here.
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita. Brahma bhuta prasanatma na sochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. It's a quote from the Bhagavad Gita, 1854. A devotee who is already liberated does not see differentiation in terms of the outward body. He sees all living entities as spirit souls, eternal servants of the Lord. Dhruva Maharaj was advised by Lord Manu to see with that vision. He was specifically advised to do so because he was a great devotee and should not have looked upon other living entities with ordinary vision. Indirectly, Manu pointed out to Dhruva Maharaj that out of material affection, Dhruva thought of his brother as his kin and the yakshas as his enemies. Such observation of differentiation subsides as soon as one is situated in his original position as an eternal servant of the Lord. So this is the big zoom out. They're not your kin. They're not your brothers. They're not your children. They're not your spouse. They're not your parents. They are just pure spirit souls that have clustered together for a moment in time, right? And then we'll uncluster when bodies change or when time moves us along, right? Time moves us along. Sometimes we split up from our girlfriend or our boyfriend. Our children grow up and they sometimes they get married and move to another country or city, and we don't see them any longer. And this is how they come together in the same way a river. Sometimes after the rain, it brings all twigs together, and then it hits a rock, and all those twigs split up. They're not eternally bound. Although we think sometimes we're so attached, we think, well, in my next life, I want to be with this person because we're so attached. But the fact is, we're always recycling through new relationships, isn't that? Sometimes you get a long one. I've known you for 35 years. Sometimes you get a long one. It's nice to have a long one. But it's that desire for eternality, which is inherent in the soul. But there is an eternal relationship. That's with Krishna. And sometimes we run into a soul that we hang out with for a few lifetimes too, which is also nice.
I could be there too.
Cheers.
So now we have Manu and the sages, and they're saying we need you. We're asking you, and we're sharing with you that if you could bring your vision from the relative to the absolute, that you're going to feel a sense of relief, right? You're going to, and in this commentary, Srila Prabhupada, I think twice he says, or no, it was in the verse, and then it was in Prabhupada's commentary. He says that you connect to God from your original position, right? In other words, not from your temporary position. Right now, Dhruva's thinking with the mentality of I'm the lawman, right? Like I'm the guy that preserves law and order. That's a position that he's in relatively, right? Relative to time and circumstance. It's a situation that he in the past he wasn't in, and in the future he won't be. But there's an original position that's an eternal position, and they're saying view God from that position. Now, Raghunath, let me ask you this. So in a sense, what's being said here is that we all have two positions that we're working on, right? Because we all have responsibilities in this world that are relative, and we try to, as Bhakti yogis, as Bhagavad Gita teaches, we try to be dutiful. We try to carry those out. But also here it's saying that by bringing, literally it said by turning your attention to that Supreme Person from your original position. So in other words, we're being called upon to cultivate that awareness that even though I have temporary duties to deal with and I have temporary positions, to bring our awareness to that original absolute reality. Now, here's a question for you, Raghunath. How do you, on a daily basis, cultivate that original position or that, absolute awareness?
Well, if you have that absolute awareness at all time, you're sort of not even fit to be in the world, because there's certain things that are sort of, you have to have that relative perspective, like being a parent, and you have to worry about some minutia of a child's school life you have to take care of. and you have to be in that, and then you have to see them going through their struggle or going through their joy, and you have to be present with them in that. But it's but there always has to be, truthfully, I think to really do it is you are in that day-to-day temporary reality, but by hearing on a regular basis wisdom literature, it cultivates the big zoom out.
Yeah.
It cultivates the big zoom out. So it's not like I'm walking around embracing my kids. I love you, sweetie. Congratulations. You're on the soccer team now. And by the way, you're not mine. I'll never own you. And, you know, we have no actual relationship together. I don't say that to them.
As a matter of fact, just go home with some other
zoom out is
parents.
I'm not a possessor of anything. And I cultivate that along with the relative truth.
So hearing Bhagavatam daily, that's one way to do it, right? To make sure that we don't lose touch with that current that should, in one sense, always running in the background, you know.
But always running in the background.
Yeah, but at certain points in the day, we want to bring our mind to that current so that we can not lose touch with it, and ultimately it becomes the predominant, you know, reality for us. But
well, as we wind down life, that becomes the predominant. And winding down life, and sometimes we get sick, and we get sick, or disease, or or death comes upon us, and we're like, well, it's time to wind this up real quick.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's, down the road, I'm cultivating this, and when it's my time to go, I'm gonna really churn this. But you got to practice it. You got to practice it, or it's not going to be there when you need it. You
know what this reminds me of a little bit, Raghunath? Is sometimes you see like a documentary or something about like maybe athletes or something like that. Even you would see it on people on different sides of a war, like in the Civil War, you know. But like as people get older, they let go of all of the temporary things that divided them. Like you have two boxers, right? They went into that ring, back in 1971 or whatever, and they just hated each other's guts, right? Like that was the enemy, right? Like they hated everything about that person. Their mind was really fixed in it, and they went in there to annihilate that person. And thoughts of that person dominated their awareness.
You think you get a George Foreman, aren't you? Foreman, Muhammad Ali.
People like that, yeah. And then they get older, and then they actually drop all of that, and they realize it was just the circumstances that created that animosity. Actually, I really respect this person, right?
It's like that with me and me and the guy from Slapshot.
Okay, well, there you go.
You're like these anti-Krishna bands when we were a Krishna band.
And now they're like,
years
you
later,
guys are cool. Your band is good.
Like, you guys are always cool.
Yeah, you're right.
You let go of that stuff.
Yeah, so it's something like that, right? Like actually the things that divide us are temporary and relative, but ultimately there's some connection. In one sense, it's a mundane analogy, right? But let's take that, right? Like he was in a hardcore band, you were in a hardcore band, but you had different values, right? Your bands had two different sets of values, and so like you hate each other. And now like whatever those temporary things that might have created that that hostility, they're long gone. And you just look back and say, well, there's something that we shared, there's something that connected us, and that's more important. And so that absolute vision is what the yogi's cultivating. Now, one way we're doing that is by hearing every day. But, I was thinking of a very direct way that we also do that on a daily basis, Raghu.
Chanting every day?
Oh, that's another way, sure. But I was thinking of, like, for instance, in deity worship, right?
Yeah.
Because in deity worship, what is it? What is the puja? People will commonly, it's preceded by?
Preceded by?
Yeah, like when you sit down to do puja, there's something that you do first, right?
Take a shower, put on tilak.
Yeah, that, and then?
Gather articles.
And then?
For the puja.
Mayor's on it.
Mayor's got, what? Mayor's, come on, Mayor, say it.
I don't know it, but it's just like, I am not.
Yes, I'm not a Brahmana. I'm not a Vaishya.
I'm not a Brahmana. I'm not a Vaishya. I'm not a Sutra. I'm not a Shadra.
Yeah.
Gopi Padakamalaya Das and Das.
Yeah. So there's, before one does puja, there are different varieties of ways that this can be done, but there's a practice called Bhuta Shuddhi, right? It means once
clean in your Bhuta.
Yeah, you're it's like you're purifying your conception of self. And so what it means is like, you know what, I have all these relative responsibilities to do in life, you know, as a parent, as a business person, whatever it is that I do in life, I have to put on that hat and wear it and adopt that mentality and go out into the world and play that role. But for the next 20 minutes, I'm sitting and doing this puja. And for this 20 minutes, I want to completely lose touch with that awareness. And for 20 minutes, I want to, exactly what this verse is saying, face God from my original position. I'm nothing but your servant, right? All of those other things are just things that come and go. They're flickering. But what's eternal is that I'm your servant now. I always have been your servant. I always will be your servant. And it's and for the next 20 minutes, I want to live purely in that consciousness.
Yeah, it's almost like time stops for the 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're like you're out of this world. You're out of this material world. Time releases you, the gunas release you, and now you're in a spiritual realm.
Right. And so, you know, different like you'll get elaborate bhuta shuddhis. People do that. May take like an hour. Like, right? Like right. If you live in a temple and serve in a temple and that's like your whole life, then you might do a bhuta shuddhi every morning that just goes on and on and on and involves many prayers and other rituals. And, you know, you're doing pranayama and you're doing everything you can to settle your mind so that when you enter that puja. I remember once I really offended a priest in a temple once.
What did you do?
I
Offender?
I think I took a photo of him or something like that when he was doing that, like his pranayama before the puja. And he really went off on me, like, you know, but his point is like, this is the moment where I'm trying to, you know, I don't know how well he expressed it to me, but this is how I understand it, right? Like, you know, this is the moment where this is important to me, what's going on right now, you know, that I'm trying to do this puja in the right state of consciousness, not just merely mechanically.
And you're walking around with a Polaroid.
And I'm trying to enter into this state of consciousness, and you're not helping me here by taking a photograph of me while I'm doing it, you know? And so now the puja, like when my wife does puja every day, the bhuta shuddhi consists of just one verse. But, you know, you sit down and you meditate on that verse and really try to imbibe it. And that was a prayer by Sri Chaitanya, who said, I'm not a Brahmana, I'm not a Vaishya, I'm not a Shudra, I'm not a, what's the other one I'm missing?
Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi, Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi.
No, that's a different verse. But here, Gopi Bharta Kamala, you were.
Kiba Vipra, Kiba Nyasi, Kiba Suju Kenny Noi. Oh, I got it. That's the wrong verse. I'm quoting the wrong verse.
Yeah. Any case, what the verse is saying is that it goes through. It's a way of. It's a verse that's very much set in the Vedic context, right? That there are different identities that I could adopt according to the relative situation. I might be a Brahmana. I might be a teacher, you know, or a priest. I might be there are 4 categories of occupation, right? A Shudra, a Vaishya, you know, I may be a laborer. I may be a business owner. I may be a governor in some sense. I may be a teacher, a priest in some sense. He's saying, I'm not either of these things. And there's 4 stages of life. Brahmacharya, you know, like celibate student, married life, retired life, and renounced life. And he's saying, I'm none of these things either. I'm not a brahmachari, I'm not a grihastha, I'm not a vanaprastha, I'm not sannyasi. In other words, all of the temporary roles that I adapt in terms of occupation, in terms of stage of life, that's not me. That's just something that I'm passing through. That it's a hat
role I'm playing for a few days.
Yeah.
We can probably even remember we've had different careers in our life where I was this and I was that. Right.
Yeah.
I was a parent, you know what I mean? I remember when my children were little, I was taking care of little babies. Now I'm a grandparent, and we've been playing these different roles out forever, but there's one absolute identity. I've had thousands or at least hundreds of different identities in this lifetime, but we have one real identity. And that's what the Bhagavatam, the wisdom literature, the puja, it brings us back to, which was the origin of your question. What do you do on a regular basis?
Right. So that's like that. The idea is that process of Bhuta Shuddhi before the puja is just 100%. It's like it's a practice that's wholly directed towards entering into the absolute consciousness, at least for a period of time today, right? And if I do that every day, even if it's just 20 minutes per day, if I do that every day, it has a cumulative effect. It becomes, if it's done regularly, and if it's done with the deep sense of devotion, and if one continues that regularity over a long period of time, that consciousness becomes deeply rooted. It becomes something that's not just theoretical, but it becomes something that becomes deeply rooted in one. And so that what the verse says, I'm not a Brahmana, Vaishya, Shudra, I'm not Grihastha. I'm none of these temporary things. What am I? Gopi, Bhartar, Kamala, Yor, Dasa, Dasu, Anadasa. I am the servant of Krishna, the lover of the gopis. That's my identity. That's something that's eternal. That's something that never changes. That's who I am. And let me approach God from that original position, right?
Servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis.
Gopi, Bhartar, Kamala, Yor, Dasa, Dasa, Anudasa.
It's time. I should have been one of those announcers. Ladies and gentlemen,
I don't know.
It's time for our takeaways.
Bhagavatam, superfood for the soul.
Boom! Like it.
Once you accept a divine cause behind everything, it takes you out of bitterness and blame.
Like it.
We can't blame our way to a better future.
Me likey.
We're here to be educated, get sanded down, and grow.
Likey.
Not all yakshas are bad.
No. Some are good.
God's behind everything, but not responsible for everything.
You yaksha.
We are eternally and unshakably God's servants. Connect to God from your original position.
Yeah. Enjoyed the other ones more, but okay.
Hearing wisdom literature daily cultivates the big zoom out.
Mm-hmm.
Cultivates the big zoom out.
It's all just a big box of photos and that's it.
A big box of photos, a long list of names. That's my life.
Raghu is baby number one.
Raghu's baby number one. Woo! Didn't hit it.
I'm hitting it.
It's just a great intro. Thanks everybody for joining us. What a fun way to start your morning. Wisdom literature and entertainment. Thanks for joining us. Today's Friday. That means tomorrow's Saturday. That means get your questions in. You got a question on your spiritual journey. We try our best using the sacred literature as the gold standard of what's right and wrong. The wisdom literature directs us. So write your question into Mara and she'll read them to us tomorrow and then we'll read them to you. Wisdom of the Sages 108@gmail.com. Thank you very much. Sunday, we're hoping, fingers crossed, for Harley Flanagan from the Cro-Mags. And, I want to say some of you guys out there listen on YouTube. If you listen on YouTube, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell icon and write a comment because that helps with our algorithms. It's all about the algorithm, Kaustubha. Did you know that?
Yeah.
All
it works
about
that
the
way.
algorithm. For some reason, that will rank higher. That way people search like spiritual stuff. Wisdom of the Sages comes
Maybe
up.
if they drop a heart.
Drop a heart. Double tap if you like it. By the way, it's Tell a Friend Friday. So you got to find somebody, one of your friends that's sitting on a fence in their spiritual life or they're going through some time right now. And you just send them a little screenshot of Wisdom of the Sages and direct them towards the podcast. This is an organically spreading movement of bhakti. And we're part of it. We're part of that beautiful wave. So thanks, everybody. Now comes to the time of the show where we dance, enjoy,